Wi-Fi. They think you're on somebody else's Wi-Fi. They're charging you data. That's a really good trick that they play.
I know. There's a few tricks, isn't there?
Oh,
we're with Frank Ludwig talking cell phones.
Curse you, cell phones.
No, we're set up in your studio here, Frank, and you're just telling me about some things you're doing in the schools.
Oh, well, I retired from teaching music. I did about 22 years of, I'll call it service agony. No, it was wonderful. Being a music teacher, I would say it's the best of teaching jobs, and it's the worst of teaching jobs. The best part is the kids choose to take those courses. They're elective, so they're not forced to.
Yeah.
And you get great kids and who just want to learn. And I've been happy enough, hopefully, to inspire some kids. As I was mentioning, that one of my former students now runs a great big PA system company, a sound company, and so they're in the biz, and that's kind of neat. But the worst part was, because you're an elective, you're always on the gun to have your program cut. Well, we got to save money somewhere. Well, music,
isn't that the
music
truth?
costs money,
Yeah.
Let's cut music, let's cut art,
Yeah.
Drama. And of course, for me, when I look at one of my pet peeves, when I first started teaching, the kids had 50-minute classes.
Yeah. What
that meant is you could have 2 more electives.
Right.
Because you could fit in another class every day as you rotate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, wow, we've saved the price of 2 teachers here. That's true. But what they did is, the kid who loves biology but also wants to take chemistry has just had his sort of passion cut in half. If you've got a kid who wants to do drama and band, they got to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
And so it pits the arts against each other, and it also makes school no fun.
Yeah.
And if because how often do you hear about a kid? Well, yeah, drama saved my life, or being in the choir was my passion.
Yeah.
And when you cut that out, you do education a terrible disservice. So yeah.
What are you focusing on now, then, Frank?
Well, I'm retired. Retarded. Yeah, retarded. Mostly, I do the Vancouver Concert Band every Wednesday, and that's a 70-piece band. Just a small little group that we. It's a community band, so there's some professional quality players. There's some amateurs, mostly amateurs, people who love music, and we have our youngest are still in high school, and choose to join to kind of up their game, and our oldest, I'm getting to be one of the oldest now. It's frightening to say, so I do that. The rest of the time, I'm still doing a little writing, and mostly I'm recording projects that I want to work on. My son is a composer primarily of arts, what's called art song, which is a very weird genre. But it's, having studied music at university, you get enough of an education in more eclectic music that you can appreciate it and his stuff. So he'll write for piano, say baritone, and now he'll add a violin part to give it a bit of a change up. And it's just remarkable music, and he's now been recognized by Stanford University as we did 3 CDs on the works of William Carlos Williams, and it's now been sort of registered there as works of significance.
Is there a website?
Yeah, Chris Ludwig. Not sure if it's
spell it.
Oh, CHRIS LUDWIG. Yeah, Chris Ludwig. Not sure if it's .com or .ca.
We'll look it up. We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. Anyway, so his website is there, and his music, and so we're working on that all the time, and he's got some amazing. It takes 3 pianists to be able to keep up with the difficulty of his works. And he tells me stories about it. There was one pianist who said, "This new work it's unplayable." And of course he said, well, you do realize, of course, that when Stravinsky wrote music, that all the violinists said this is unplayable, and now it's standard repertoire, right?
Right.
Anyway, so she phoned up about 3 months later, said, "I can do this."
Wow.
And about 2 months later, she says, "I'm ready to go into the studio." So his piano writing it's beyond me. I'm a songwriter. He's a composer.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Frank. What is your proudest? I guess the songs, the top 3 songs that you feel that you wrote to you.
Yeah.
What would you say those are?
The top ones? I really like a song called Quiet Desperation. And if I had quit Trooper, I heard rumblings that that was going to be the single off the Flying Colors album. Of course, when I quit, that got kiboshed. What I like about that song is it implies a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's about this guy who just kind of doesn't get why the girl has left him. It's a little bit like 10cc's Not in Love.
Yeah.
Or, no, I take that back. That's a song I've actually got up here called Two Can Play at That Game. No. Can we cut all that? No, Quiet Desperation, started the day at 5:30 this morning, still half asleep, reached toward her pillow. No one there. She left before daybreak. A brief kiss on the cheek, introducing heartache. A flip of her hair as she walked out the door. I won't see her anymore. And then the next verse, which is she wants to be the world's finest actress. Or did she say famous ballerina? In other words, he's so out of touch with what she wanted to be and do. That's clearly why she left, right?
Yeah.
And it's called Live My Life in Quiet Desperation is the hook. So that one I like. Off that same album, I like a song called Back to You. And mostly I like that one as a songwriter because it's kind of like a game. I was always kind of amused by the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain from My Fair Lady, right? It was just like, is that onomatopoeia or something, or alliteration? I forget. Anyway, in that there's some in-jokes because there's a line that goes, ground round and round, I'm down in downtown nowhere.
Wow.
And of course, the ground round was poking fun at Round Round We Go, which I wrote.
Yeah.
Because when Trooper was touring, you get bored.
You get bored on tour?
No kidding. Well, and of course, in those days, we didn't have a little a thing you could watch a movie on as you drive in the van.
Right.
You had to sit there counting the holes in Albert Hall. I can remember in a truck sitting and trying to count the little holes in the Ford truck. They had a little dimpled sort of ceiling.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there thinking, why do I hate these people I'm in the same vehicle with? Why do they hate me? Because you're at that point paranoid and unhappy and tired from bouncing across from, okay, next night's Detroit, next night's Vancouver, let's get driving.
Interesting. I'll just interrupt you there because there's a lot of wealth of knowledge that you're giving us here because we're about to go on RiseUp TV tour across the country, Victoria to Montreal, and there's all kinds of aspiring musicians, artists of all different genres, and we're on a bus together and we're traveling from city to city and we're recording this.
It's great when you're young in a lot of ways, right? And as a matter of fact, I got to know the guys in Trooper because in the old days I was had a band called Self Portrait that I was in. They were Winter's Green, and there was another band called Boston Tea Party, and our manager would go up the day before into places like Quesnel, put up posters. We would come in, and we had a Bluebird bus, and the three bands would come in, and each night we picked a different headliner. And the headliner would run the door while the opening act was playing. These are just like old halls, right?
Yeah.
Legion halls and things.
Yeah.
And then, but it was funny, whoever was the headliner always went over the best. Because the people, they're the headliner, they must be the best one, right? So we rotated every night. So every 3 nights you'd get to be the stars, right? It was pretty silly. But that's how I got to meet Ray and Brian from Trooper. It was from those days. And I can still remember going up to, there's a place between Prince George and Terrace. And we pulled into this little town. And we got off the bus to go into a cafe and eat. And of course, it was the 60s, so we had hair down to here. And we walk into this cafe, and there's all these guys, rednecks from up in the interior of British Columbia. They see us coming, and they start to get out of their chairs, and they're going to beat the daylights out of us, right? And then all of a sudden, the 3 bands worth of personnel, which is like 15 band guys, all with long hair, start to gradually come into the cafe. They all turn around and went and sat down in their chairs again.
Wow, strength in numbers.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. I still remember that.
Wow.
Anyway, what were you?
Well, these are the stories.
I was going to say, when you're on tour, and we would come up with stupid names when we're talking about a set list.
Yeah.
So 2 for the show became Shoe for the Toe. Okay. So where are we doing Shoe for the Toe? Well, let's do that just before Raise a Little Hell. So Round Round became Ground Round.
Oh, yes.
Or they would say, well, where are we going to do the hamburger song?
Yeah, that would make me hungry every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in this song, which was the next album, Ground round and round, I'm down in downtown nowhere. No planes, no trains, it's plain small change, ain't car fare. You see, that's all A sounds, which is that's back to the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that lyric is fun.
Yeah.
The song I like, it rocks, and it also talks about being on the road and missing being at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess the whole point is touring is not just what you see on the stage, right? It's all that time on the bus and in the hotel.
And tired. Well,
it's not ideal, is it?
Well, no, and it's interesting, and I can remember interviews with guys like David Letterman with their TV show, and people would say, and he would say, I live for that hour. All the rest is hanging around, right?
Yeah.
And it's even like television or movies. It's sit around and wait. It's kind of similar with many things in the arts, but yeah. So we would drive, and of course, it was faster and easier not to fly in some cases, because to fly you would have to get up early. You finish your concert say at midnight or whatever, earlier than the clubs. But then you got to unwind. Takes a couple hours to unwind. So when you finally get to bed, it's 3 or 4 in the morning. Well, if you got to get up at 8 to go catch a plane, you're a mess, right? So it's like, okay, 2 o'clock in the morning, let's just hop in the van and drive for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And at least
get it over with.
Get it over with. You're actually at the hotel, and then you get to sleep from 11 till 4 in a bed.
Yeah.
And in a decent bed. And then, of course, then you got to show up for sound check. Then you go grab some food, have a shower so you look presentable for the show. So you live for that hour and a quarter on stage. You really do. And the rest is, some people just absolutely love it.
Well, maybe they get bored at home too.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. But well, yeah, because that 1 hour and a quarter is an experience you don't get to have. Most people don't get to have.
Yeah.
And I still have a vivid memory of when that first kind of hit me. Two for the Show had just gone #1, and we were the opening act for BTO, who were huge, at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had played our set at the Coliseum in Vancouver, and it was going well. I started the piano line, da-da-doo-dee-ba-dum-bop, 20,000 people. We couldn't hear ourselves, and we all kind of looked at each other. The applause, as I finished the piano thing, the applause starts to die down, and then the Tommy, boom, 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 down, 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 down. Smitty comes in on the guitar, 20,000 people, like this, and again it was like, oh, we got to stay in time here, right? Because we can't hear anything, yeah. And then he gets towards the end of his line, and of course Ray comes in, 2 for the show, 20,000 people. And it was at that instant, it was like, oh, that's what it's like.
Right.
We had been an opening act on a bunch of U.S. dates for BTO, and we would just watch, a Coliseum full of people just go berserk, and it was just hit after hit, of course.
Right.
And then, after a bunch of years, you start getting blasé and taking it for granted, and
well, because most people just want that moment, and they don't ever get it.
Yeah.
But anything can get tired, I think.
Well, it's like, I can remember another story here. I was a university student, and Randy Bachman, and this was just at the beginning, the release of the first BTO album, hired me to do what we call lead sheets. In the old days, you would write in the music and you would write the lyrics, and that would be the publishing company could sell, And so I would have to listen to the whole album. And what's really dumb in retrospect is he never gave me the lyrics. So and of course vinyl, you can't just isolate something. So having to go back and play, I can see the morning, but you can see the light, ride. Or I can see the morning, I can't see the morning. It must be the morning. It took me forever. He paid me cheap guy. He paid me $10 a song, but I was destitute, so that's fine. Anyway, I went to his house to meet him, and he had a house at the time in New Westminster, great big old beautiful home with lots of wood and tall ceilings. Anyway, and he had a wall full of gold and platinum albums, just a whole room full of them from the Guess Who.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember saying, "Wow, if I even had one of those, that would be really cool," right? And then, of course, when Two for the Show went gold, we got one, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And then, what was the next one? The one with the boxer on the front. Knock 'em Dead Kid. Knock 'em Dead Kid, of course, had the same success. After a while, it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then you can, and at one point you get one with 5 albums or 4 albums on it for Hot Shots. It's like, well, where am I going to put this?
Yeah.
It's like 3 feet square, and so that's the human condition. It's why do famous musicians want to become actors? Why do famous actors want to become musicians? It's because they're not satisfied, and that's partly their competitive nature.
Yeah.
So it's not all a bad thing, but at some point it's like, wait a second, you don't need to take. It's like, it bugs me, these actors that have big, sitcoms and they're doing a commercial for, whatever. It's like, well, why don't you let somebody else do the voiceover who needs the work?
Remember, this note's for you, Neil Young.
Yeah.
When that came out, it was like a big statement about, hey, let's not bastardize our music and change the lyrics and all this kind of stuff. It's all the time now. It's not even thought about.
Yeah. Like, I'm kind of hoping there's something circular out there that I can make some money off Round Round We Go.
Well, let's work on that.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful song.
Maybe OK Tires or something.
Yeah, pizza.
Yeah,
How many round things can we think of?
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's a great idea, actually. But, maybe... I know everybody out there that's going to see this. We're gonna chop it up into little.
Oh, you're not going to do the whole thing? It's 4 hours.
Well, we have different places we're going to put stuff. One of the things we'd love you to say hello to all of Canada for our big screens, and just maybe give us 15 seconds of hello. This is Frank.
Give me the name of the show again.
RiseUp TV.
Hello, Canada. This is Frank Ludwig wishing all the best to RiseUp TV.
Perfect. We'll take that little clip out and we'll have it on our big screens. And I really think, with all of the artists that have such a hard time getting live shows in original music these days, it's all cover music and tributes, that they're going to find that some things about touring and stuff is going to be like, oh, I thought it was like this, I thought it was like that. This is going to be a show of what it's really like, about being out on the road.
Well, even as I say today, now I could have been writing songs as I drove along in the thing on my little iPad now, because GarageBand and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of stuff now you can do that we couldn't, or you could, you can watch movies.
Yeah.
And it'll have your headset on and not be bothering the drummer next to you who's watching it, has a different taste in music and whatever. It would be a lot better, but at the end of it, but so many other things aren't as good.
No.
And it kind of, you look at what's coming out of the big shows, and it's like, oh, it's great for the dancers. They're hiring lots of dancers, but where's the band? Oh, they're playing to a track, So, okay.
No, the session playing has become a real problem.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do commercials, and it really helped pay some bills, and it was fun because I got to work with some really great singers. There'd be like 3 or 4 of us, a couple of female vocalists, and a couple of guys like Mark LaFrance, and has a great, wonderful tenor voice. He actually is in Randy Bachman's. Well, he's a guy that he's got about 8 different projects that he works in.
Sure.
Managed to juggle them. So he's one of these guys that's taking all the money too. So. Sorry, Mark, but knock it off,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it a lot of things are better, but at the end of the day, the exploitation isn't better.
No.
And in fact, it's probably worse. And just getting, and of course, everything is such a flood. That's something that was big, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Isn't. And
singles would stay at the top for a while, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
And you had to have someone really knock it off the top. Yeah.
And it would still stay on the charts. It would be number 3 and number 5 and beyond. There was a cycle of about 35 weeks.
And nowadays, there's all these charts all over the world. You got 1,000 different charts, and what are they? Chart of what? And
really, all that matters is what people are being told to listen to, which is sort of the latest YouTube video. It's like. And it's like, oh yeah, Friday, and what happened to her? I don't know. Maybe she's been able to. Was that Carly Jensen? Was able to. Maybe she can jettison